All right, everybody. Hello, and welcome to our fifth episode of the new series we have, which is Get to Know the Drivers, a interview of all the AARL drivers. Today we have our next guest. He is the driver of the number 14 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing. Please welcome BronskiBurgh 4112, otherwise known as Bronze.
Hey man, what's going on, man? I'm glad to be on here. Heard the previous couple interviews done this year, and looking forward to chatting with my good pal Gunslinger over here and catch up a little bit.
Alrighty, here's the first question. How long have you been in the AARL?
You know what? I don't really. I remember I joined. I want to say I've been in for a year and a change, maybe a little less than that, probably about a year. I remember I joined. I got NASCAR Heat. It was either 3 or 4. I think it was 4. I got it as a gift, and I really hadn't did online racing, here and there on a controller. But I got a setup. Yeah, I got a rig and everything. So I started doing it, and I was looking for a league and a couple guys. Not even Jake. It was Mike and someone else. I forget. Um, they asked me to just try our league, see what it's like. We're looking for people, and I went in there and I made friends with Jake and. I ended up making friends with Jake and Logan and Shane, who's no longer in the league anymore. But I mean, and even Ashton, Shaw, all those guys seem to kind of welcome me in and let me be in the league, and so a few others as well, and just stuck. A fun group of guys, and even when you're not doing so well on the track, it's fun to like talk to the group and everyone. And certain people have come in and left during that point, and not even throw McCall in there as well, McWinning. Those guys have always made me feel welcome in the league, and we have our own perverse sense of humor and things like that.
Right.
And there's 3, 4, 5 guys, probably more than that I consider friends that that I would even not consider friends that we talk to. Obviously you're part of that group. Justin, Canes fan. Guys I can just shoot the breeze with about anything. So
Right.
no, I mean just so it's about a year and a half, probably a little over a year, maybe a little less than a year and a half, but I've had fun, and I wouldn't still be in it if I didn't enjoy it. And Isaac, like when you're in something, it fits, like it fits to a glove.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that when we started getting things going here, that I knew that I was in the right league. And the NASCAR Heat 5 community is such a huge community, and you can really go anywhere direction. But the guys welcomed me with open arms, and I'm a guy who actually came over from playing like Forza and Project Cars. I'm a big IndyCar fan,
Yeah.
sports car fan. I'm sure I'll get into that in a little bit here, but the guys welcome me in, and it's a fun group of guys, and I don't want to be anywhere else. And if it's up to me, that I won't be. So yeah.
Alrighty. Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were here whenever it was still the Banner League or not.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't here for the Banner
Because
League.
I remember because whenever I was in it the first time, when it was the Banner League, I didn't remember you being in it, but I wasn't sure because we had a bunch
No,
of guys
I
in
was
there.
not. Yeah, the AARL had already transferred. It had already been transitioned over before I was welcomed in.
Alrighty. Alrighty. So next question: what is your favorite track? This is across any racing spectrum, anywhere.
This is a question I've heard. Yes, it's tough for me because I like so many. Um, my favorite track. It's kind of a general, broad question because which track you like to go to, which track you like to race. Um, Homer wise, I would probably say the Mid Ohio Sports Car course.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously they don't race it in Cup, but it's fun to race it on Heat. It's fun to race it on iRacing. I go to IMSA races there, IndyCar races there, Xfinity races when I get a chance to do it. It's just close. It's a road course, but it's not a huge road course. So like if you're there, the cars come by at a very fast rate. So you're not
Right.
waiting 2 minutes for it to come back around. And it's out in the middle of Lexington, Ohio. It's out in the middle of farming. A lot of tracks are, but even though it's a 2.5 hour drive from where I live, it still feels like it's like a home track, like it is. And that was, that's probably my number one overall. I mean, there's just so many. I can't really put it in one. I like
Mm-hmm.
Road America. I used to hate Bristol
Sorry.
until I actually realized I was good. Oh no, you're fine. I used to hate Bristol until I realized I was good at it, and then you kind of embrace the short tracks. I can kind of go dirt racing route. I like Knoxville. I like Eldora. I've been to Eldora before. If no one's ever been, I recommend you go. Eldora and Knoxville, probably the top two tracks I'd recommend you going to. I know the dirt racing. Watkins Glen, having that sports car, IndyCar background fandom, I love the road courses a lot.
Right.
But obviously Daytona and Talladega go without standing. Those are the super speedways,
Yeah.
legendary. Anytime you get to race at Talladega or be at Talladega, or even in our league get a win at Talladega, and even let's say Daytona, but Daytona is just such an iconic track. And the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I mean, it's iconic. It's cool that NASCAR got there in 1994, and I know some people argue that it's kind of not been as an entertaining race, but I don't know how you cut it. They're doing the road race too, but it's just such an iconic track. It's been around for over a century, and to get a win there or even be in that environment is pageantry in and of itself. So. Yeah, I mean, I threw a few at you out there, Isaac, but it's hard to pick one. But if you really wanted to kind of sum it all up into one, like being there, driving there, even in a virtual sense, probably the Mid Ohio Sports Car Course is a track that's near and dear to my heart.
I thought you would say Atlanta, considering that's like your best track.
No, it's just that one race I raced for the Xfinity Series. I got a stage win there, but
I know.
Atlanta's kind of lately it's been better to drive because if you have the right package, you can kind of run it wide open and not have the brake. But Atlanta's been kind of hit and miss with me. But I'm not a big mile and a half guy. Road courses, super speedways, short tracks. I didn't think I would like Martinsville until I really started being competitive there. It's just you feel homey, but like the dirt tracks are always huge for me, and I know obviously NASCAR will go in Bristol, puts they're going to put dirt on a Bristol, but dirt tracks is always fun. Anytime you get to go to your local dirt track on a weekend. For me, I'm near Lernerville, which I'm sure you're familiar with if you pay attention to the World of Outlaws or late models. I'm near Lernerville, and I'm near Sharon Speedway, which is actually owned by the Blaney family. So so that's always a fun time. And actually, the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series is coming back there this year. So as long as COVID kind of holds up here, looking forward to doing that. But yeah, I would, there's so many good tracks. I kind of gave you, I kind of went around the map there for you, but it's hard to pick just one from where I'm sitting.
Gotcha. Alrighty. If you had to choose between 3 drivers across any racing spectrum that you looked up to growing up, who are they?
Wow, that's another big one too, to even narrow it down to 3. But I won't put it down to 3. That I looked up to. I'm gonna give you 3 and then like an alternate. I'm gonna say my 3 are probably Jeff Gordon, Dale Jarrett, and Tony Stewart, and that was the order of fandom. When I was a kid growing up, the first car I ever remember was the number, and I think Logan might have said this in the previous interview because he was talking about his first diecast. But actually, the first car I ever remember like knowing NASCAR, besides Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt, of course, is the number 11 Ford Thunderbird, Bill Elliott's when he drove for Junior Johnson. And I was a fan, and then obviously, when he came over and got the McDonald's sponsorship and made his own team in '94, I kind of stayed there for a little bit. But when Jeff Gordon came into the sport, I was still very little, but just the iconic, the rainbow DuPont paint scheme. And which is funny, this is kind of a little exclusive here. My mom and my stepdad were married, and he was a big Earnhardt fan, and I don't know, for some reason he just loved Earnhardt so much that I just didn't. I never really cheered for Dale Earnhardt. I obviously respected him, but I never cheered for him. And so when Jeff Gordon came in, it literally like pissed off the entire number 3 fan base.
Right.
So like I made it my job to be a huge Jeff Gordon super fan, and I proceeded to piss like everybody that was an Earnhardt fan off. They're like, "Oh, he's a California kid. He's a Yankee. He's Wonder Boy." Dale Earnhardt called him, and he's like, "Oh, he's not. He's only good because he's got good cars." I heard all the criticism for years, but
yeah.
I just loved I just loved pissing with people, and then he actually Jeff became good, and I just kind of stayed with there. And I would say probably around like 95, 96 is where I kind of, right when Dale Jarrett went to Robert Yates Racing, when I became a huge Dale Jarrett fan. And I don't know what it was. He seemed like a cool guy. And like Mike said, the mustache, I think the mustache thing he was kind of like one of the old school guys. And,
One of the young old
and
schoolers.
yeah, kind of the transition over. I wasn't really big when he was with Joe Gibbs. It was kind of when he went to Robert Yates Racing. And the big reason I was big into Robert Yates Racing, even though I was a huge Jeff Gordon fan, was the fact that I always liked Ernie Irvan and obviously Davey Allison,
Right.
so Ernie Irvan, Davey Allison, that kind of stuff. And then when Dale Jarrett was there for a while in the Texaco car before he went over to the '88 Ford Quality Care Service Thunderbird, and I became a fan then. And then the big knock I remember growing up then was like Jeff Gordon was only good because of his crew. And then remember when the whole Rainbow Warriors went over to the '88, and that was the year that Dale Jarrett won the championship. And I always liked Gordon and Jarrett at that time. But then if you really think about it, they were rivals at that time because they were probably at that time, besides Dale Earnhardt, your top three guys in the sport at that point. So I was kind of a big Dale Jarrett fan until probably early 2000s. I actually will tell you the last year I was a fan, and you'll laugh at this. I'm sure you'll get a chuckle. This was I started to become a Tony Stewart fan when he came into to NASCAR because of his dirt background, because of USAC and IndyCar and that background. He was just a guy. He was one of the few guys in the circuit at that point was like he was racing Friday and Saturday nights and taking helicopters and then coming to the track on Sunday and racing. Kind of what Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell do now, but and just the fact that Tony Stewart kind of was against the grain. He was one of the first guys to really kind of call the media out and whatnot. He always gave a good soundbite. And remember that race at Watkins Glen with him and Jeff Gordon got into it and was kind of like, yeah, he's good after my guy, but I kind of like this guy, this Stewart guy. He's got a little gruff to him. So I became a Tony fan around the early 2000s while still being a Dale Jarrett fan. But I cut off all ties to Dale Jarrett when he went to Toyota and Michael Waltrip Racing, because at that point I was very adamant against Toyota coming into NASCAR. Now it doesn't bother me so much, but
at the time
when Dale Jarrett went to Toyota, that was like the racing equivalent of treason to me. So I abandoned ship after he went to Toyota, and I became a full-fledged Tony Stewart fan from there on out.
Alrighty.
I didn't know what else to add to that. I'm just I like each guy for a different reason.
Right.
Like, Jeff Gordon was the young guy. Like Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart were the guys who came from dirt, who came in the NASCAR, guys who had IndyCar aspirations. But at that point, there was too much. You had if you were not an Unser or an Andretti or a Foyt, it was really hard to get into IndyCar at that point.
Or you had millions of dollars behind you.
Oh yeah, and those guys, went to NASCAR as a way of doing it. And I always joke with my friends a lot. Jeff Gordon's dream job was to be a top echelon World of Outlaws racer. I said, but he managed to. But unfortunately, he failed at that and became a NASCAR Hall of Famer. So it's just weird. It's weird how things turn about. But Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart I love because they came from dirt and it came from not saying that Dale Jarrett didn't get that obviously, but he was the son of a NASCAR legend. But Dale Jarrett kind of brought he wasn't an aggressive guy. He was always outwardly a religious guy and kind of just put his nose to the grindstone. Wasn't a quote magnet and just kind of did his job and won races. And I would say Gordon, Earnhardt, Dale Earnhardt definitely factors in that too. But I'd say Gordon, Stewart, and Dale Jarrett are probably the three guys that really, made me love NASCAR. And then Bill Elliott was the first one for sure.
Gotcha. Alrighty. So next question: where are you from? You don't have to give a specific city. You just say location.
Oh, Mike actually knows where I'm from. I'm actually from a town, I would say about 55 minutes north of Pittsburgh, Elwood City. A little small town. Actually, I'll give you, for those listening who have no idea where Elwood City's at, it's north of Pittsburgh. Sean and Archie Miller went to school here as kids. If you know Sean Miller, he's the head coach of the Arizona basketball team, and Archie was at Dayton. Now he's at Indiana. They went to high school, a nearby Blackhawk High School, which is about 15, 20 minutes away from Elwood. But they spent their childhood years here. Rock legend Donnie Iris is from Elwood City. I'm sure I'm missing. For a funny one, Doink the Clown, WWE superstar Doink the Clown,
Mm-hmm.
the real guy, Matt Osborne, is from here in Elwood City. And I would dare say my friend Ray, his younger brother Steven Johns, is a defenseman for the Dallas Stars in the NHL. So
Really?
so little stuff going on. Hack Wilson, believe it or not, baseball legend Hack Wilson was from Elwood City. So Mike knows this too because Mike knows Elwood City because his company deals with and Metco. It's a battery plant
Mm-hmm.
here in Elwood, and when Mike said he saw, this is a shout out to Mike, Bruce Fritz, for those of you who don't know who Mike is. When he said he saw when we were friends on Facebook, he saw us from Elwood City. He's like, dude, he goes, we deal with that battery company. He goes, your plant always catches on fire. I'm like, yeah, and it scares me because if it ever got bad, it'd be like a radioactive,
Right.
wasteland. But no, from Elwood City, and born and bred a Pittsburgh sports fan through and through, and Penguins, Pirates, Steelers, Pitt, Pitt basketball, Pitt football, Pitt whatever, University of Pittsburgh. Not really much outside of, not really a huge NBA person, I guess. I grew up as a kid being a Detroit Pistons fan, and then obviously the Chicago Bulls. Who wasn't a Bulls fan, right, at that point with Michael Jordan playing there? And then by default, I guess since the Cavaliers are the closest NBA team to us, like when LeBron came here, I kind of became a Cavs fan. But yeah, I mean, and NASCAR has always been in my life because some of my family has loved it, and my uncle was a big part of that, as is my stepdad. And I would say probably early 2000s when NASCAR was at its peak, right after unfortunately the death of Dale Earnhardt. Pittsburgh TV demographic. NASCAR was the only thing that was better than NASCAR on TV in terms of popularity here was the Steelers, and so
Right.
that's pretty big for a Western Pennsylvania town to be. For the early 2000s, NASCAR was the second most popular sport. That's, and obviously that had a lot to do with the Penguins falling on hard times and the Pirates not doing so well. They're still not a
Right.
very good team, the Pirates are,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm from Elwood City, and I was born in Pittsburgh, so that counts for something. But I'm proud to be a Pittsburgher. I couldn't imagine being from anywhere else, and love it here, and I love representing Pittsburgh in this NASCAR league because there's no one really close to me except McCall and Mike are in Michigan, and I think Zachy's from Kentucky or Ohio or something.
He's from
but
Ohio.
yeah, he's from Ohio, so I love the deal. Yeah, just that's the BronskiBurgh 412. That's the zip code of Pittsburgh, and that's where that comes from.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, we share a fandom for the NFL, or same NFL team.
Yeah. Oh, you're a Steeler fan?
Yeah,
I'd love to hear that.
really the main reason is because I didn't get big into the NFL till about 2008, 2009, really.
Yeah.
Because I'm really more of a NASCAR and big college football guy. But
Well, you're from Arkansas, are you? I mean, you guys don't have much of a
yeah.
Alabama.
Do what?
Huh?
What did you say?
I said you're from what? Arkansas, Alabama. I forget where you're from.
Arkansas.
Arkansas, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's college football.
Yeah.
That's college football mecca down there. You guys really don't have a pro football team. I guess I assumed the Cowboys and the Saints would be your team if it was.
Whenever the Rams were at St. Louis, that was the closest.
Oh, okay.
But now I think it's Dallas.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got Dallas, the Saints, and the Titans. That's the ones that are closest to us now. But
why the Steelers? What made you be a Steelers fan?
My dad was a Packers fan, or is a Packers fan, and
it's a classy organization.
We was watching he was watching the game, and I said, who they playing? He said they're playing the Steelers, and the Steelers were up by like 20 points. I'm like, I'm rooting for them ever since then.
What game was it? Was it the Super Bowl?
No, it wasn't the Super Bowl because it was a couple years before when they played the Super Bowl. That was devastating, though.
You know what though? I'll take it. I'll give you a perspective of a Pittsburgh sports fan up here. The Steelers Super Bowl losses, the one that Dallas kind of kills it because Dallas is probably, besides Cleveland and Baltimore and Cincinnati, that's probably the Steelers' biggest rivalry just over the years because the 70s and whatnot.
Well, they played each other like 5 times.
Yeah, yeah, won 3 Super Bowls. Pittsburgh won 2 and Dallas won 1. But but losing to Dallas was huge. But when they played the Super Bowl against Green Bay, ironically that was in Dallas. But
Right.
when they lost to Green Bay, it was kind of like it was still devastating because losing a Super Bowl at any point is devastating. But Green Bay is such a stand-up organization. It was kind of one of those things. Was like it was sad, but like I was over it. I mean, I'm not really over it, but you accept it because Green Bay is such a classy organization
Right.
and they do things the right way. So like I think Steelers fans accept it. I don't think they're ever over it, but they accept it more than that Dallas game because Neil O'Donnell was absolute trash against the Cowboys. But
Right.
but now I find it very fascinating you became a Steeler fan and obviously the Steelers are a really popular team in the nation. But just being here and Troy Polamalu once said, being a Steeler player in Pittsburgh is like being an actor in Hollywood. It's kind of that same, you're scrutinized here and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I mean, I'm a huge football fan and a huge hockey fan. Love eat, sleep, and breathe Penguins hockey. And Mike and I will always trade barbs because he's a Red Wings fan, and the Penguins and the Red Wings met twice in the Stanley Cup with each team winning one. So we always when
Mhm.
Mike is he knows he can kind of get under my skin talking about Sidney Crosby or
Yeah.
Evgeny Malkin. And then McCall is actually a big Flyers fan, which is the Penguins' biggest rival.
Right.
So we always trade barbs about the Penguins and the Flyers. So I love the Penguins. I loved them before they got Crosby and Malkin. I love them if they get a team that's worse than District 10 in the Mighty Ducks movie. It don't matter who the roster is. I love the team. I'll go to games as long as I continue to collect oxygen on this planet Earth.
Alrighty. So, what was your dream job? Like, if you could do anything.
It changed over the years. When I was a kid, this is gonna make you laugh. When I was a kid, I watched Top Gun for the first time. It was probably like
Oh
5 or 6.
God.
And I remember we had it was like second or third grade it was. I was like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And they're like, "I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a cop." I remember I wanted to be Maverick. It wasn't even I wanted to be a naval aviator or airline pilot.
You just want to be Maverick.
I wanted to be the Maverick character, Tom Cruise in Top Gun. I wanted to be Maverick. And so I was obsessed with air fighter jets and things like that. Until when I was a kid, was it my uncle or my mom brought me to an airport where they were flying like the Blue Angels and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember it being really loud and like really scary and stuff. And I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm done.
This looks good in the movie, but I don't want to do this anymore. Not to mention the fact that I'm afraid of flying. So
Yeah.
that wasn't the career option for me, Isaac. And then I became a huge, obviously NASCAR was always in my life. So then I was kind of the backup. I wanted to race a NASCAR one day. And then I don't know, I kind of not that I never stopped being a NASCAR fan, but around the late '90s, I kind of got more into the NFL and then into professional wrestling and stuff.
Right.
So then I thought maybe I can go to high school and be a good football player and play in the NFL. And then for a while, I thought maybe I could be a professional wrestler. And so all these things in my mind as a kid, I thought I could do both at once. I could be this NFL superstar, and of course I didn't. Even though I was a big guy, I never thought I was going to be an offensive lineman. I was either going to be a running back or a quarterback, right? Like,
Yeah.
you never dream of being an offensive lineman or anything like that.
Well, unless
So I
you're
thought I
me.
could be like, exactly. So I always joked I could be the star quarterback of like the Steelers, and then like be wrestle in the WWE or something. So as I got older, obviously that became a little less realistic. And then my goal was maybe to be a game designer because I was into video games, and then it moved from being potentially like a sports agent, and then I learned how to go to law school to basically be a sports agent, and I was like, yeah, I'm not smart enough to do that. So yeah, it was a big grab bag of like what I wanted to be, but ultimately like NASCAR, like being a professional NASCAR driver probably would be the number one because that was probably the thing I wanted the most over the course of time. But I'm not doing something I want to do with my life right now, but it's fun and I enjoy it. But you know, the ultimate goal is I want to be involved in sports in some way, whether it's in NASCAR or the NHL or the NFL or even I'm doing a podcast right now. I do the Next Level Nerd Sports podcast. You can look for that at Apple or on Spotify. I do that. Maybe I'm also looking at maybe trying to get sponsors for that. Maybe try to get paid to do that. So obviously, you're finding out in this interview, Isaac, that I have a gift for gab and I tend to not be quiet. So it works when you're doing it. 1 hour podcast. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Alrighty. So, I know you said this before that you kind of like to watch a little bit of shows. So, what show are you currently binge watching?
With working a lot lately, I haven't really watched watching shows. It's kind of been more sports. I've been watching Pirates Spring Training, Penguins hockey. But when I do get time to sit around and do watch shows, it's kind of a lot more, not necessarily Netflix or binge worthy stuff. I've been so behind on Mandalorian. I just started watching that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so Mandalorian I just started watching. I watch when it's on that Paramount network. I've been getting into a show that I think everyone knows about, a Bar Rescue.
Oh
For some
yeah.
reason I love that. That John Tafferty, what his name is. Oh, he is insane. I love watching them like turn the bars around and things like that. I was huge on Ballers on HBO. I was on. I've been trying to catch up to that. I know they're done now, but I'm on the last season. And then I watch like reruns of shows I watched in the past. Like I'm a fan of the show Entourage.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of Sons of Anarchy. I've watched that through like about 20 times. Um, I just got a gift of the complete series of The Wire that was on HBO, so I'll probably start watching The Wire here pretty soon. If you've never seen The Wire, recommend that. Kind of on the same level like Sopranos and like
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy.
It was
Kind
different
of
for
takes
its
you for a ride.
time.
Oh, I love it. I love Sons of Anarchy and like The Wire and all that.
Yeah.
Sons of Anarchy is kind of, I'm not saying it's real to form, but I know people who are bikers and stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, bounce it off them, what's real, what's really not,
Right.
and kind of being around it. My uncle bikes a little bit. He's not part of a gang or anything, but he has a Harley and stuff. So kind of being around that environment, I kind of pick some things up for sure. But so yeah, I would say right now probably Bar Rescue, and I started watching Mandalorian. I'm behind. I need to start watching WandaVision. Just thinking like when I get home, I kind of like with the NHL season going on right now, there's a game on every other night, so kind of just watching hockey. And I'll tell you what, I'll give you one thing I'm watching. I've been watching a lot of the cool like NASCAR like short documentaries that Fox Sports One's been doing. I just finished last week the Golden Hour, the making of Days of Thunder.
Oh
It was a
yeah.
2-part thing. That was really well done, and the fact that they got so many people like interviewed, Jerry
Mm-hmm.
Bruckheimer, Don Simpson, Carrie Ellis, the guy who played Russ Wheeler,
Yeah.
and and Rowdy Burns, which Michael Rooker, everyone knows him from
Yeah.
Walking Dead and whatnot. The fact that they got so many people like to do that documentary,
Mm-hmm.
that was cool. And to take you back, Days of Thunder was one of my favorite movies, and actually was what got me into loving NASCAR more
Mm-hmm.
than I already did. So that was a good one. The Davey Allison one I think was really good. The Neil Bonnet one was really good. The best one by far I'd have to say was the Earnhardt versus Gordon Unrivaled. That was really well done, and obviously with Dale Jr. and Jeff
Right.
and so many people that contributed to that. Just FS1 does so great with those NASCAR documentaries and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so good. I think they've done so well with the sport, and I know there's a lot of rumors that in a couple of years when their contract with Fox is over, that Fox might want to get out of the NASCAR game, but that'd be such a shame because their documentaries are really well done. And that Golden Hour, I actually recorded that, and I've watched it at least a couple times. So yeah, when I'm not watching sports, I'm watching NASCAR on Fox Sports and the cool content they produce.
Yeah, I didn't watch that till the 500 when it got delayed.
Yeah, it's really well done, and
Yeah.
because Tony Scott was the director and Bruckheimer and those are the guys that made Top Gun with Cruise, and it was Cruise that like said like I want to make a movie about NASCAR. Like I
Right.
guess he had dinner with Rick Hendrick and Jeff Bodine and like listen to all these stories,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like he literally walked out and goes I want to make a movie about NASCAR. And then I didn't know how pivotal it was like to get Bill France to like agree to do the movie.
Especially
And
them
it's
having to
weird.
put cars in the race.
Oh yeah, I didn't know. Like, as a kid, I didn't know they had cars in the race. I didn't know Bobby Hamilton drove like one of the stunt cars. Like, it's crazy. And I love that movie. And it's weird because Carrie Ellis did the interview and stuff, and he's
Mm-hmm.
done so many movies. He was in like Princess Bride. He was in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Right.
The Saw movies. So but obviously I think any race fan knows him as Ross Wheeler, but to get his perspective on everything because he hasn't really talked about Days of Thunder a whole lot, in the media and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was cool to get him. Obviously, Tom Cruise is too Hollywood to sit down and do that, but but no, it's really well done. Like I said, anything that they make in terms of NASCAR content, I'm always taking it in.
Right. Okay, so what is your favorite paint scheme of all time?
This one you got me stumped on, and I knew you were gonna ask me this, but I still don't. I still couldn't think of one. Best paint scheme of all time. For me, if I'm thinking of it, this is just me being a nerd. But it's I'm actually looking at it right now, Isaac, because I bought it at a yard sale or a flea market over here in Eastern Ohio.
Yeah.
It is the Bill Elliott number 94 Batman Forever,
Oh my
the
word.
Thunderbat paint scheme. Because I'm a huge Batman Forever fan, well, Batman in general, but I love the movie, and I just love the color of the car being dark and with like the neon green numbers.
Yeah.
And it's one it's one of the few diecasts I still have in the box because it's a see-through like box, and it's probably the one that costs the least because it's one of those like $15 ones. But I just love it for the paint scheme on it. So that's probably the number one. I'm looking at my very limited diecast collection because I'm not like Justin and like Zachy and all these guys are like just huge like diecast collectors. They have to mean something to me. As a fan of Chip Ganassi racing, through IndyCar, and so Chip Ganassi is actually from nearby Fox Chapel outside the Pittsburgh area. So that's why I became a huge Ganassi fan. Even though NASCAR, I'm a big Stewart Haas fan. In terms of IndyCar, sports cars, things like that, I'm a big supporter of Chip Ganassi racing. Even in NASCAR, that's why I became a big Kyle Larson fan. But the iconic Target, I think that's scheme. I mean, because it just transcends just NASCAR. Like, obviously the Target scheme in NASCAR hasn't been as productive as it has been in IndyCar, but just that red car with the Target on it, and when Juan Montoya drove it, and he's a guy that I'm a huge fan of because I was a fan of him back in the kart days and Formula One, and when he came over to NASCAR, I was giddy with excitement because I was such a fan of his, and it was kind of like this is a platform for him to really see what he can do. And I mean, he won a couple races, and
then you forgot what equipment he was in.
Huh?
I said then we forgot what kind of equipment he was in whenever it was announced he was coming. We're like, awesome, and then it's like, oh wait.
Yeah, it was kind of I think the expectations were kind of too high for him considering what he was in. Obviously, the trollers always talk about the jet dryer thing in Daytona. But I mean, he won 2 road courses. He probably should have a Brickyard win under him if it wasn't for a horrible call by Brian Patty.
That and that race where he blew a tire, too.
Yeah, and I don't think Juan was a failure. I just think he's one of 3 guys in motorsports history to won an IndyCar, NASCAR, and F1.
Right.
So I mean, that's Mario Andretti, Dan Gurney, and Juan Montoya. I mean, to be in that kind of class, but. He went back to IndyCar and sports cars, which he was much better at. But I mean, it was cool to see him in NASCAR. It was kind of like when I joked with the boys. I was a huge Christian Fittipaldi fan in kart, and then he came over with Richard Petty motorsports, and that didn't end too well. He was horrible. Dario Franchitti had a horrible transition over. He was horrible.
Yeah, not a lot of guys could execute the whole open wheel to stock car transition.
Gordon and Stewart. And Mario Andretti in the early years of NASCAR. And Foyt.
They were about the only ones that could actually successfully do it. I mean, I guess you could say Robbie Gordon, but he didn't win that many races.
Was a little bit. I would say Tony Stewart was probably, when he was doing the doubles every year. And I know Gordon and John Andretti was doing it too, but Tony was probably the most recent guy that he came over both sports. He was an IndyCar champion, which I don't really consider. I mean, he did win it. Don't get me wrong, but that was the IRL, and all they did was basically run ovals. They didn't run a road course at all, and that's when they had the infamous IRL kart split. And for any racing fan, I encourage you to go look through the history of that. The splitting of it. Roger Penske had a whole lot to do with that, and of course, because he's like a motorsports kingpin. But I went completely off the question for you, Isaac. But so paint scheme, the Bill Elliott Batman Forever one was a good one. Logan was talking about the Looney Tunes cars. Those were always pretty cool too. Each guy having a character or whatnot. Right. Jeff Gordon doing the Star Wars episode 1 and 2 on the number 24 was a good one for me. And anytime I kind of group them all together, but I loved when GameStop was huge in NASCAR in the Xfinity series.
Oh yeah,
because they always had some pretty cool schemes, like for video games, like the Call of Duty car, like Eric Jones would drive that, or Joey Logano had a was it SmackDown versus Raw 2007 paint scheme?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and like he took a picture by the car with the Bella twins, and then that was like the week that him and Kurt Busch guest hosted Raw. And like I think Kofi Kingston poured a bucket of paint on it because they originally gave it to Randy Orton, or they made Randy Orton a custom NASCAR with his face on it, and then Kofi Kingston poured a bucket of paint on it, which made me cry inside because like why would you damage a really nice car like that? But Vince McMahon, paid obviously a hefty load to do that, but no, I mean there's just so many great. But number one, Isaac, I would say is the Batman Forever scheme by, but I had to say that because that was the first one that popped in my mind.
Gotcha. Alrighty, here we are with the last question. Who are you currently rooting for in the top 3 national NASCAR series? I already know the answer to the Cup Series, but say it anyway.
Well, first of all, I'm surprised you didn't ask me about my first Diecast because I had that ready for you. Because I was gonna stump you by saying, I'll get
I did skip that, or I skipped one somewhere.
No, that's fine.
We'll go to it after. I didn't realize I skipped it.
Yeah, I'll answer this question. I'll answer that one because I think you'll laugh when I tell you what my first podcast was. The national series, the truck series, I guess. Before a couple years ago, it says Matt Crafton just because he's just the most recognizable name for me down there. Mm-hmm. When Todd Bodine was down there, I was kind of a big fan of him, and like Ron Hornaday and those guys. But I would say Matt Crafton until a couple years ago. Now that Haley Deegan's up there, and was it Tanner Gray? Yeah, those guys. Basically that David Gilliland Racing group. I'm a fan of because obviously my allegiance to Ford, the Blue Oval. Right. But obviously with Haley Deegan, I grew up being a big fan of her dad, and obviously the Metal Militia and Brian Deegan. So I'm really curious to see, how good she can be, and and when you have guys like Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch racing in the K&N series a couple of years ago, and shouting her praises, it's hard to not take that seriously when they're giving her a lot of dab. Right. And I think right now she's probably got the best opportunity of a woman in NASCAR right now to really make an impact because she's done different disciplines, I think Danica did go-karts and IndyCar and whatnot, but Haley kind of was bred in dirt racing, and she went up through the NASCAR feeder system. She wasn't kind of inserted in there like Danica was, like for the money. They have time to give Haley a little bit of a chance to develop and a little bit of patience, and I'm sure they will because now that she's in the Ford Performance, that's kind of when Tony Stewart kind of went after Toyota. They put how many guys, Isaac, they put like 20, 25 guys in the TRD department, and then certain guys get left out in the cold, like your Bubba Wallace's and your Eric Jones and whatnot. With Ford, they have Chase Briscoe, they have Haley Deegan, they have a small number of people that but their efforts and resources are focused on developing them as a driver.
Right. Well, even they snagged Herbst too from Toyota.
Yeah, Riley Herbst. Yeah. Now he's in the fold. It's like you don't have to have 20 guys. You can pick 3 or 4 people and just put your resources into making them tremendous talent. So I would say Haley Deegan probably is the number one in the truck series. Xfinity series, obviously the Riley Herbst this year with Stewart Haas Racing. He's a guy there. I'm still a big fan. I when Elliott Sadler was there for a long time, I was big on him because I like to move into the Cup Series. But Xfinity is probably Riley Herbst right now. But I do have a lot of respect for Austin Cindric, and Gregson's okay for Junior Motorsports. Gregson's okay, and I like the Burtons, Harrison Burton and Jeb Burton. So, but number one would definitely be Riley Herbst driving that number 98, and which is cool now because I have a lot of racing like team shirts, crew shirts. I have the Kurt Busch, Stewart Haas the Haas Automation Monster Energy one. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can kind of wear the Monster Energy one now that Riley Herbst sponsors Monster.
Right.
I can pull that one back out and wear it again. And obviously the Cup Series, it's Chase Briscoe. Obviously when Tony retired, I went, basically it started when Kevin Harvick left RCR and went to Stewart
Mm-hmm.
Haas Racing. Kevin Harvick became my number one guy.
Right.
And he has been until this year when Chase Briscoe got the call up to the Cup Series. And
Mm-hmm.
I followed Chase through, ARCA, through,
Same way
USAC.
I
And,
did.
yeah, USAC and dirt and everything. And then he won the championship in ARCA. And then BK gave him the run in the Truck Series. So when he was kind of out on his luck, him and Austin Cindric were with Roush Fenway for that like half a year. And then Tony recruited him, put him in the car, and then he wins the Roval.
Right.
And then he went Eldora, the truck race at Eldora.
Right.
And then, just you just fall in love with the kid's passion, and he's a God fearing Christian, and he's just a good guy. He's definitely a role model you can have your kid look up to,
Right.
and the sacrifices he made to get in the NASCAR, which a lot of those guys have made.
Mm-hmm.
But when he got the iconic 14, I was like, that was it. He's racing that iconic 14. Right. Tony Stewart, AJ Foyt, and Tony always says he likes to put his dirt guys in that 14. Like that's why Clint Boyer was there, and so I mean you can't get any more dirt than Chase Briscoe. And I actually have a signed. This is what's funny. Maybe when I get to meet Chase Briscoe someday, I'll sign it. But I have a signed Chase Briscoe Racing dirt T-shirt, which is signed by Christopher Bell because Bell raced sprint cars for him for like a little. He would do little one-offs with Chase's sprint car. So it says Chase Briscoe Racing, but it has Christopher Bell on it. So now I want to Chase to sign it, so I have them both on the shirt. But Chase is my Cup guy. And Kevin Harvick and Stewart Haas, they're still my guys. But it's different. It's a transition now. It's Chase Briscoe. And then I've always been a fan of Christopher Bell. I was pumped he got his first win this year. And I've always pulled for Kyle Larson. So even though, there's always a bunch of guys you pull for. But Chase, number one, undisputed. But, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Kevin Harvick, Almirola, Cole Custer, and a little bit of a little sprinkle of Denny Hamlin in there. And I was a big Casey Kane fan when he was in the sport. So, yeah.
Alrighty. I'm gonna add one more thing to what you're saying about Chase Briscoe. Was really, I don't think we've really seen a driver like him come to NASCAR in a while with the kind of grit and determination and the hardships he's had to go through. I mean, the dude literally slept on couches and handed out business cards at race shops.
Yeah.
And would work for little to no money, just like sweeping the floors for like 4 years.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his story's been documented.
Yeah.
And it's weird, Isaac, because you're going to, we're starting to see that transition now of guys just coming in with money or, taking the iRacing approach, which I'm not knocking William Byron because he still had to race Legends cars and things like that.
Right.
But that's going to kind of be the future where guys, you're going to see rarity of, guys coming through the dirt ranks and kind of doing that.
They're starting to fade out. They've already been starting to fade out, really. I think more guys have come from asphalt racing than dirt racing.
Yeah, and it's weird because, and I'm not trying to knock the guy because he's actually a local guy, Garrett Smithley. He's from Ligonier, south of Pittsburgh. But it's like, when Kyle Busch got into it with him in that race, he goes the top echelon of motorsports, and you have guys here who haven't even won a late model race in here because of the money or whatnot. But, and another guy I forgot to mention too in terms of racing, I'm also a big Ryan Blaney fan. I don't know how I even forgot that. Justin will probably put me in a chokehold or something. But Ryan Blaney, obviously I've been a big fan of his dad Dave and his grandfather Lou and his uncle Dale. They have basically dominated the Eastern Ohio, Western PA dirt track scene for decades and decades. And so now that Ryan's in NASCAR and doing so well, I mean, we kind of feel like here in Western PA he's kind of our guy because of his family being so dominant in terms of the local dirt track scenes around here. So if you had a local, Chip Ganassi being a team owner, being from Pittsburgh's a big one, and obviously as I mentioned, Garrett Smithley's from Ligonier. But I would say Ryan Blaney's probably the guy that it's like he's the local guy because of the Blaney name here. But yeah, it's fun time to be a NASCAR fan, and I am an optimist. I think the sport is on the come up. I think They are doing some really crazy things, but they're doing it to try to freshen things up. What was working, what was happening before, what kind of wasn't getting it done. So, yeah, I mean, just hopefully Chase Briscoe's one of the big, one of the faces of the turnaround in NASCAR.
Right. Alrighty. Last question. What is your most expensive or rare diecast you own? Or first, if you want to use that one.
Well, I'm going to go through all of them. So,
Okay.
the first diecast I ever had, I think if Logan hears this, he's going to laugh. Jake, all these guys all laugh. I think I might have told him. My first diecast was a 164. It was a number 15 Ford Thunderbird, Motorcraft sponsored.
Oh.
Jeff Bodine. That was my number one. I got it as a Christmas gift one year, and I just so vividly remember that car. I remember that car.
I'm trying to remember who owned that car.
I had no clue.
Oh, it was Bud Moore.
Was it Bud Moore? Okay.
Yeah, because remember Dale Earnhardt ran it for a couple of years with the Wrangler scheme. It was a Ford then too.
Yeah. But I had that car for as long as I can remember. I don't know what happened to it, but I just coveted it because it was my first one, and anything that had like Motorcraft on it, I loved because I love that car. But that was my number one. As a kid, I still have some of the ones I still have. Isaac as a kid. As for Christmas one year, it was 1997 or 98. It was the first year that Taurus came in.
Oh God.
Sport. Yeah, the weird headlights and stuff I have.
But them suckers were fast.
I have the Mark Martin Valvoline one.
Oh.
The crazy paint. The one that's, yes.
I said that in Logan's interview that if they would have put that on the Thunderbird, it would have looked amazing. But because they put it on the Taurus, I was like, ugh.
Yeah, it's on there. And I remember, you look on the side of the car. I'm looking at it right now. That's when he was sponsored by Bugles. He had the Bugles on the side there,
and he had Cummins too, I think.
Yeah, it's on here right here. Cummins on here. Oh my gosh! So that's what I have. And then I was a Dale Jarrett fan, so I got that. I got the Mark Martin Valvoline car, and I have the Quality Care one. So those are probably my ones I can remember as a kid. I still own them both. And then when I became huge into NASCAR again, like late '90s, 2000s. I have the Dale Jarrett, the first year of the UPS scheme.
Ooh.
Yeah, the first year.
Kind of hard to find.
Yeah, I have mine. It's still in pretty good condition considering I've had it out of the box since I was a kid, and I'm an idiot. Like I should have collected it, but there's only one little nick off the thing, but it looks like it's pretty still brand new. I have the Ricky Rudd first year of him with Robert Yates Racing, the 28 the Texaco Havoline car. The red and black one.
Mm-hmm.
I have Tony Stewart's, I think, second year in NASCAR, the Home Depot one. Looking at the collection right now. So my uncle started the diecast collection for me. He gave me some of the ones he didn't want anymore when he moved out. So I have the Rusty Wallace, Elvis Presley Miller Lite car.
Oh,
I have that one.
I think I remember that scheme.
Yeah, I'll take these pictures and show you guys. There's some good ones here. And then some other ones here, Isaac. I have ones like I've got lucky that I've gotten as gifts or like won in contests. I have a Tony Stewart late model car I won off of ESPN.com. It's a Home Depot one. It's a black and orange and white one. I have a Tony Stewart, a recent one from a couple years ago, sprint car. The Rush Truck Center, Ford, Hunt Brothers Pizza. I have another Tony Stewart Chevy Monte Carlo Home Depot scheme. I have a Kevin Harvick Jimmy John's Ford Fusion, and then I have the Juan Montoya. I have two of them. I have Juan Montoya's rookie year Texaco Havoline 42, and I have his Target Chevy Impala. And then probably the most prestigious one in my collection is, I would have to say, in terms of NASCAR, I have a number 41 Hunt Brothers Pizza Xfinity Series Kevin Harvick car I won from Hunt Brothers Pizza. I did a trivia question, and they sent me the car, and I love it.
Was it a 91 or a 41?
41. Not okay. The 98. Yeah.
Or 98, not 91.
Yeah. That's when they merged. That was at Del Best.
That was the year before. That was their first year with Ford. Yeah.
I have a couple IndyCar diecasts. I have Dan Weldon's year with Panther Racing. That was the year before he passed on in that wreck in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And my number one IndyCar one is I have the PNC Bank Scott Dixon car from last year. I bought it at Mid Ohio. So I had not of NASCAR, of dirt diecasts. I have IndyCar diecasts. I have I got this at a flea market, so it doesn't have monetary value, but it's a chrome one. Ew, right, chrome. But it's a chrome Wonder Bread number 26 Ricky Bobby diecast.
Oh God,
I got it at a flea market. It's great.
that's
It's
awesome.
the one it's the one I have out of the case because I'm like, if it drops or breaks, obviously it's not worth of any value.
Right.
But it's cool. It's a good conversation piece because even non-NASCAR fans know it because of Talladega Nights.
Right.
So and I have a couple of the wrap this up. I actually have a couple. I was at the flea market here too, and they have I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 164 diecast replicas of they must have came out when the Days of Thunder movie came out because you can tell they're kind of old. But it's every scheme that was used in the movie: the City Chevrolet, the Superflow, the Mellow Yellow.
They I think they released like little 6-packs of them.
Yeah, I got that. That's probably featured on my thing too. So little homage to Days of Thunder and Talladega Nights, the movies that swept away from NASCAR. I have a Corvette and a Ford GT from the IMSA series on there as well too. So yeah, I'm a diecast collector, but they got to mean something to me. I'm not like Justin and Zachy. They got like 2 walls full of them. They have to mean something to me, and then everyone I have definitely means a lot to me.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got a pretty decent diecast. I'm surprised. Did you not get any Chase Briscoe ones last year?
You know what? I never got a chance to get one, and I don't know why I haven't. But I came close to the one. What race was it?
The Darlington win. That's the only win they offered. Unfortunately,
yeah,
I got that one.
Yeah, I came close to getting that, and I think something happened. I didn't get it. But
Yeah.
I do plan on filling the cabinet with some Chase Briscoe.
Yeah.
Even if I can get some of the ones from I do have a couple of I have 2 164 ones that came out with the collection. I have the Nutrichomps one, and I have the 164, the Truckee one at Eldora with Thor Sport.
See,
I have those.
I have his Darlington win last year, and I have his truck that he raced at Eldora the year after he won. In 124. Then I have a 164 of the 60 car.
Oh yeah.
And then I have a 124 or 164 of his Eldora win truck. Really, the only one I really want bad is the Roval win. But
that's a good one.
Nobody's selling them, and if they are, it's beyond.
Yeah,
the price.
I think it's like the rare ones. Like I wish, and obviously I know they don't make them, but like it'd be cool to get something like from Dirt or from like the ARCA Championship year or something. But I'd love to get his or maybe like one if they did like a die cast of like some of the cars he's raced at the Chili Bowl or something. That'd be kind of neat. But,
well, you could always get one custom made, but they're not worth the get.
Yeah, that's like you have to get one custom made. But I love him racing midgets and stuff, and it was cool. Like the one was it like during the summer, he let Dylan Welch race his car for like a couple weeks or something like that because he couldn't do it. So no, I mean that's not like Chase Briscoe. And I'm not trying to like compare him to Tony Stewart, but like he kind of took the same route that Tony Stewart took to get in the NASCAR, which is kind of like I think why I attached to him so much. And
he's another Hoosier boy,
another Indiana Hoosier boy, and he's already won in Indianapolis. He won the Xfinity Road Course race there. So hopefully, maybe he'll get his first stub there. Isaac, maybe sooner. So I know you're with me and hoping that hopefully Chase finds his way to victory lane soon.
Alrighty, so we'll end it there. Nice talking to you, Bronski.
Yeah, no problem. No, I have to give a quick shout before you wrap this up.
Okay.
To Mike Bushy, Bruce Fruits, because he kind of came after me last show, and I haven't forgotten that. He did the Darren McCarty, Brendan Shanahan, That's Rock thing.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I would say of all the friends, he's probably my number one best friend, and he's one of my favorite guys. But I have to say, my favorite guy in the AARL, besides you, of course, is Justin Hughes, Canes fan, because he did an interview earlier and said that I was his favorite person, and the one time I didn't even mention him, so that was an oversight on my part. Justin Hughes is the man. and I appreciate him. And it's cool that you know everyone kind of says they like who I am and everything, and I appreciate that. I don't try to go out my way to like people like me, but I think that I think we kind of are, all of us, you included. We kind of just like we love the same thing, and I think we have such a passion for NASCAR and racing. I think it's just easy to become friends and be friendly when you like the same thing, and when you kind of have the same kind of personalities, and that's why I said from the beginning of the interview that I know I picked the right league to be in, because you guys are always so cool, and like every week you look forward to kind of, even if you have a bad day at the track, which I did tonight, virtually, but it's cool to kind of talk to you guys after and like laugh about things and stuff. So
Right.
I'll keep being in here as long as everyone will keep having me. So it's a fun time, and you make it fun for sure with this kind of deal, and the boys make it fun with the racing and the back and forth banter. So thank you for doing this, and thank you for contributing to the league, and it's a fun place to be, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Alrighty. Well, thank you. And also, you may be joining us, maybe, sometime. Depends.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to help you out in the interview. Maybe if I have a chance to join you in the booth. I'm like, I'd love to try to be like the Clint Boyer of the AARL. Just be a complete, funny guy and
Goofball.
stuff. And yeah, be a goofball and be fun. But yeah, anything you need me to be, I'll do my best.
Alrighty. Well, we're gonna end it there. Come back next week when we interview whoever wants to be interviewed.
TBD, to be determined.
Yeah, to be determined. Alrighty.
Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me